first of all, what is the Piper NV? Well, let's go to their website and see what they try to sell it as, and then kind of talk about the truth, because what they say isn't always what it really is, sort of say, right? Yeah, okay. Well, there's advertising jargon, okay? So I think everybody kind of knows what a security system is supposed to do, right? Like, so when you're not home, or even if you are home, it should tell you when somebody's trying to break in, or maybe somebody's in your place when you don't want them to be in your place, right? So what does the Piper NV do? Well, they claim it's a fully customizable security modes, right? And so it's true. There's like home, away, and vacation modes that you can actually control and program. But there's also an alarm. There's a 105 decibel siren built into this little guy. And what's cool is that it's all in one, right? It's just one piece of technology. Also, there's a motion detector, and there's actually a lot of different detectors in here. And we're going to get a little bit more into that as well, because it can monitor all of your home vitals as well. And I saw a Martin McNo, hello Dave, hello back. And so Anna says, hi, ha, ha. And I say, hi, aha. Backwards. Anyways. And what's interesting about this, and they've chosen Piper NV to purely connect to their security system via your phone. So it has to be, they have an Android app as well as iPhone, iOS app. You cannot connect to your home security system if you get the Piper via your computer or any desktop. So you have to be comfortable controlling and monitoring your home security system via your phone, okay, your smartphone. And so that's kind of a weird idea, but stick with me here. And I actually think it's actually a pretty good idea, because then somebody can't just sit there and hack on their desktop to try to break into your Piper security camera. Pretty smart, right? Yeah. Anyways, so they are really well connected as far as Piper is concerned. You're saying, well, Dave, how are they going to let me know if somebody breaks into my house? Well, you can decide what kind of notifications you want. Obviously, you can get email, and the app can also tell you within your phone. But even if you don't have Wi-Fi or data on your cellular plan, you can tell it to push text messages to you. And you can also get it to ring a physical phone. That way, even if you don't have the internets and you still have your phone on you, you can actually get those notifications. And here's a little bit of a bonus as well. You can assign a friend or a family member who is nearby your home, or even a neighbor if you want and you trust them, that they also get notified when there's a breach of your security system. So even if you're not in town, they could get a push text or phone, etc. And so they're notified in case you can't get to your home or your business or your apartment, okay? So kind of neat that way too. There's what they call a trusted circle of friends who get notified. All right. So let's keep on talking about what else they give you. So video monitoring, okay? Now they say it's called video on demand, and what that really means is that you can just go into your app and say, I want to look at my house right now as it is, okay? So it's not really video on demand. It's like not a, yeah, well, I guess it kind of is, because even if there's a recording, you could go back and play all those recordings, which is nice, okay? Now, again, this is only going to be on your smartphone or your tablet. Whatever has that app is where you're going to be able to see the video, okay? Now, they say it's immersive video. That's a little bit stretching the truth. And so is the pan, tilt, zoom, and split screen, okay? Really what it is kind of like a GoPro fisheye, but even fishier than a GoPro, okay? And so what they mean by pan and tilt is that they've got this huge one picture, which they allow you to zoom in, but you're throwing away pixels, right? It's not a physical lens that is zooming. So the resolution isn't quite good if you're going to zoom in a lot, okay? So if you've got a bigger space and you want to zoom in a lot, it's not going to give you a high resolution image, and especially in the night vision mode, which we'll talk more about in a little bit, okay? But so the pan, tilt, and zoom are really just cropping the single image that you get out of this little fisheye lens, okay? So this little lens, as you can tell, it's a bit bumpy, and so that is just one single fisheye lens without a optical zoom. So if you do choose to zoom, pan, tilt, it is just going to be doing that digitally. Okay, cool. Now, two-way audio is cool, but it kind of is feedbacky. And so what's really creepy is sometimes my kids will come home when I've got the system armed to just tell me when somebody motion happens and we're not home, and I'll just talk to them. Hi, Toby. Hi, Levi. It's like we're always watching. Big Brother is watching. And so it's kind of neat, kind of creepy. And we can hear what they say, but they can't see us, of course, because there's no projector, right? It's just audio that they can hear us, but we can see them and we can hear them, which is kind of nice. Cool. It's not good enough to make like a voice call like VoIP or Skype, but it is nice to be able to just say hi and let them know that your presence is known. Their presence is known. Cool. Now, let's keep on moving here. Now, this picture isn't quite right. All the lines are actually straight, which means it wasn't taken by the Piper, right? The Pied Piper is really fisheye. And so this is a little bit misleading because if you look through the actual video footage, it's going to be GoPro-ish and it's going to be fisheye-ish. But it is 180 degrees. And so you can pin this up on a wall or against a mantle, and it will show you most of the room. So the weird thing is, if you have a lot of different rooms with full walls and doors, of course you can't see around walls. But if you have a big open space, then this is great to be able to just monitor the whole place. Okay. Now, home automation. Now, this is the cool part. So when I first searched out the Piper NV, it was because I needed a security system, okay? But the big bonus is that this is Z-Wave compatible. And what Z-Wave is a standard, okay? So you don't have to wait for the same brand from Piper to come out with, let's say, a wall plug like this, where you can control, if you plugged in a light fixture, it can go on and off. If you plugged in a heater, it could actually monitor the temperature and turn it on and off depending on how hot or cold you want it. Very crazy, right? Yeah. There's a whole bunch of different Z-Wave compatible things, and you have to do a Google search on Piper Z-Wave compatible gear. And that way it'll give you a list of everything that Piper, the company, has tested and they know actually works as the hub. And so your app will be able to control all of these different Z-Wave items. And we'll talk more about how I have it set up and why it's so useful. Not just lights, but in the morning I have it so that my kettle, which has to be a dummy kettle, it can't be like a smart kettle, but one with a physical on-off, not like an electronic one. And it goes off when my kids wake up so that I've got hot water to make my coffee quickly when I arrive downstairs. Really geeky and really lazy. That is Uber Geek winning with home automation. Okay, but what's also cool about this is that it's got a lot of different sensors in this one little box. It's not only monitoring the motion with this motion detector, there's also a thermometer inside of here. There's also a hygrometer for humidity. What else can it detect? The measurements of light, so it knows how much light your room is getting. There's also sound, and so you could have this go off when a loud sound is heard. So if somebody smashes a window or something, okay? More on that later, but I don't find that the sound is very useful because it goes and gives me false alarms a lot. I should note for pet owners, there is a pet mode. I don't have pets, just two boys. And so I haven't tested that, so I don't know how good it is at rejecting just pets walking around. Cool. Now, let's move on. Always more to come. And that's always a good thing. And Piper, I've had the NV for about 2 years now. It was pretty much fresh when I got it. And now it's a couple of years old, but it has been updated to work with IFTTT, if then that, which is kind of nice if you wanted to add more rules and work with other things that are IFTTT compatible. And this is kind of uber geeking and past this kind of review, but it has that capability. And so, yeah, you can add different sensors, light bulbs, door, window sensors, hygrometers to make sure that nothing's flooding in your house, and of course more motion detectors. And I'm going to share with you how I do that as well. Cool. Now, I do recommend the Piper NV, and again, get the links down below in the description, because the Classic I have not tried and does not have night vision. And so the night vision on the regular Piper must be worse than the Piper NV, and the Piper NV ain't great either as far as detail is concerned at night, okay? So anyways, let's take a look and take a peek at what we need to do here. I'm going to switch over and take a look at the review. So I have my own notes here and I can follow along with you. And so if you go to the link, this is what you'll see as well. So what is it? We talked about it. It's really peace of mind. And it's got a siren, a motion detector, 180-degree camera. It's got night vision. You can use it as an automation hub for Z-Wave compatible things. There's two-way audio. We kind of went over those basics, but why, Dave, do you need this? And so for me, my house is already professionally monitored. And so I pay a company, and we've had the police come out here when I've been away because something went off. And literally a couple of years ago, why did I determine to get a self-monitored solution, right? Where I could actually see video and it's not actually monitored by a company, right? Because one night at 4 a.m., we had driven out to the mountains to go skiing, and I got a phone call from my alarm company saying, yo, the burglar alarm went off. And at 4 a.m., my mind went racing, and they asked me, do you want to send the police? And I go, yes, please. And what, your mind goes a mile a minute. I had not advertised on any social medias that I left the house. So I'm thinking, who staked out my house would know that this is the first night that I'm gone and would try to break into my house, right? And so it kind of ruined our vacation because I ended up driving back 2 hours to check on the house, and it happened to be a false alarm. A sensor went faulty. It was a motion detector that went faulty and just told me that somebody was moving inside my house. So after that, I determined, you know what, this was lucky because I could drive back and check, right? But I said to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I could actually take a look inside my own house and see if somebody's in the house and confirm as a backup, right? Having a separate system. So I still have my home monitored by a security company. And I do recommend that because if you want true security and monitoring by a police station, then you still need to pay for that service monthly, right? But I also wanted to have my own way of looking into my home to give myself peace of mind to know what's happening in my house, okay? So I researched that a lot, and most of the solutions like the Nest Cam and everything else out there requires a monthly subscription so that you can just have the luxury of recording your videos into the cloud. And I thought, that's not cool. So one of the biggest things that I liked about the Piper NV system was that you don't need to pay any more after you purchase the actual unit. And they still will record all of your video into the cloud. It's so awesome. And so that was one big selling feature. And of course, it's a self-contained unit. Everything's in one little box and it just works. Okay. It was very easy to set up. So that's also got what has it going. It's also a pro for it as well. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So why does it matter? Really, it's peace of mind. It's not going to replace a true monitored security system, but it allows me to get vitals. It allows me to control my house a little bit as well. But really, it's so that I can see what's happening in my house without having to pay a lot of money to a security company so that I can get videos installed everywhere. And okay, now, why should you trust me? And that's a very good question. Well, I am a paranoid uber geek, but prior to being a paranoid uber geek, I was just a regular human being. And the funny thing about that was that I was still living in my parents' house when our house got broken into. And until you've had your house broken into, you don't think that you need a security system. And you surely don't think you need a monitored security system. So even if we had a security system and, the alarm goes off, they can be in and out of there and steal your stuff. So, it was not the best of feelings to know that somebody was romping through my stuff and taking my own goods, right? So since then, we've had a monitored security system that goes through a professional company, and that's been great. But again, like I shared, you know what? If one of those sensors goes off, you have a false alarm. If you can't get to your house because you're traveling or you're away on business or even away on vacation, it'll ruin your whole vacation, ruin your trip thinking about what is happening to my home. And so this is great peace of mind to have this in your home. So a couple of the pros. First of all-in-one design. It's really simple to set up. There's great online support. It's been really reliable. I've had this for 2 years now. I own 2 of them on different floors, and I have not had too many problems. We'll get to some of the quirks and questionables in just a little bit here. The live video on demand is kind of nice, and of course, when you have it armed in stay mode or away vacation mode, then it also triggers recordings for all of those different events too. And they are in the cloud, so even if somebody tries to steal the unit, I'm going to take this off for you and show you the back here. So let's say they try, okay, man, this thing's going off, so they rip out the power cord, all right? Well, one, you'll get a notification saying your Piper is now running on batteries. And then second, because the battery door has this little screw, they can't stop the recording even by unplugging it. So they really have to break the unit. And by then, you've got a recording of their face, right? Because they're so close to the actual unit, okay? So kind of nice that way, too. It's well thought out, right? And it's kind of a cool story if you read up on it, because this guy made it for his daughter who's going away to college, and he wanted some way to have some peace of mind for her and for him that nobody's waiting behind the door when she gets home. So kind of nice that it's an all-in-one unit. So what I love is that there's no recurring fees, right? You buy once and then you keep on using it. And so the Piper NV, great deal. Okay, now the Z-Wave compatibility is just a bonus. I never wanted to get into home automation because of this. I just bought it simply for its home security. But the more I've been using it, the more of these Z-Wave appliances that I've purchased. And I'll share with you soon, right away, what I recommend and how I use them. All right. So, and the other thing is the IFTTT integration. So if you want to grow the system beyond just Piper, like for example, set it up to go off whenever you leave a area, location, then you can automatically set your alarm. Okay, I kind of don't use the IFTT, and I'll show you in the cons section. You'll also notice that one of the cons is the IFTT timers are not accurate. So let's say you leave the house. Well, it might take up to 20 minutes before it auto arms your house or whatever, your Piper. And the reason being is IFTTT is not instantaneous. It's not tracking you every second of the day. It pretty much kind of seems to track every 15 minutes or half an hour. So it's not very accurate as far as time. So within that time frame, your house is not protected by Piper. Okay. Anyways, now cons. 1, fisheye lens. It is pretty distorty. It's not going to be the best image resolution, but that being said, it sure is better than nothing, right? And you can kind of see what's happening in your house and if there's anybody there. Second, if you buy multiple Pipers, like I did, I have 2 Pipers, you can't just turn one of them on. And so I've got one in my basement, I've got one on my main floor. But when I turn Piper to be armed, it's all or nothing. They've all got to be armed, or all of them have to be disarmed. So that's kind of silly, okay? So the Piper units themselves have to be ganged in control, okay? I kind of wish that you could arm just one of them, so if I'm not in the basement and I want to make sure nobody walks into my basement through the window, that I can just arm the one Piper. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you can do that. You can't just arm one Piper. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I'd love to know how to do that. Okay, now the thing is, there's no outdoor solution from Piper. And so I kind of bothered them about that, and I told them, yo, do you guys have like a doorbell ringer like ring.com and stuff, and they don't have a solution for that. They just kind of told me, well, you can kind of set it up with IFTTT, but as we know with IFTTT, it's not quite time reliable. It's too slow for real security monitoring, okay? So the other thing is, I also noticed that there's a lot of false positives if you choose to use the audio trigger. And so if there's a loud sound and it'll go off, at first I kind of turned all the triggers on to see what would happen, and it gave me a lot of false positives, and there's actually nothing happening in my house. And so, but that's the least of my worries, because I don't really need the audio monitoring, and you can set these different rules. And so I just turned off the audio triggers for my armed stay and vacation modes. Cool. Now these are some of the automated systems that I do recommend. And so I literally have 4 of these door and window sensors, and they just take 1 battery in each side, and they last, actually maybe 2 batteries in the main unit, 2 AAAs, and then 1 AAA in the little guy. Oh, actually there's nothing in the little guy, it's just a magnet, that's right. But this has actually been very, very good. I've had one for like the entire time that I've owned the Piper. And now I've got one on every external door, as well as a window that I wanted to monitor that's in my kids' room as well. So they can't escape. No escaping kids. Okay, well, this has worked really well. Make sure to use a link, because these are the ones that I know work with the Piper as the controller. And I think Dave, you asked about scheduling. Of course you can. And so you can schedule, and you can have these just notify you even without an alarm or recording going off, so you just know when a door is getting opened and closed. And you can do that individually for each door. So for example, my basement door, we have a walkout basement. I want to know every time that door is opened, because sometimes I can't hear it from the second floor. And so if my kids leave the door open, I'll know. And in the Piper app, it'll show you on the Z-Wave accessories page whether that sensor is open or closed. So before you go to bed, just look at your sensors and make sure that everything's closed and you're good to rock and roll. Cool. Now, the other thing is I use this guy here, and it doesn't look like much, but this is what it is. I know you couldn't see it there, but what it is a plug. And on the bottom of it, you've got this button. And on the back is the business end where you just plug it into the wall. And you can control a lot of different things with this thing. And so, of course, one way is to do lights, okay? So you can control lights on and off. You can schedule them. You can actually, because there's a light sensor in here, you can have your lights automatically turn on at dusk when the sun sets. Then you can have it scheduled to turn off after 2 hours, after 3 hours, after 4 hours, or you can hard set the time as well. So really cool and versatile as far as setting auto on and off times with your Z-Wave automation systems. Now, what this thing can also do, if you plugged in a heater in the winter, if you're scared of your house freezing when the furnace, maybe your pilot light goes off, well, you can actually plug in a heater. And if the Piper, because it's got that thermometer built in, if it hits a temperature, let's say, of 10 degrees, it can kick on that heater for you. And make sure it's a dummy heater, not an LCD smart heater, because those heaters will need to be manually turned on via their little computer on the front. But if it's a dumb, old-style heater with just a physical on-off switch, leave it on, plug it in here, turn it off via the switch or the app, and then when the temperature goes too low, it'll automatically kick on to give you some heat and buy you some time to send a friend over to check on the furnace, right? So that's kind of neat as far as that's concerned too. Another thing that I have is this micro switch controller, and it's very similar to the power switch right here, except that this goes in the wall into your actual on-off switch for your light. Now, caveat here, make sure you read the instructions, because I believe this is only going to be what they call a single pole on-off switch. So it'll only work on switches that have just one light switch. So if you have one set of lights that has two different switches, it may not work, okay? So read the instructions, make sure it works for your system. I have mine set up on the front house lights, so I can turn them on and off at will anywhere in the world. Kind of weird, kind of nice. So cool. And of course, you can set rules, so if somebody triggers an alarm, you can turn on the house lights too. So it's kind of neat that way too. So kind of confusing, kind of neat, as complicated as you want it to get. Cool. Let's move on and take a look at this as well. And I have also a motion detector. And why did I choose a motion detector? Because remember, if you have multiple Pipers, you can't just arm one of them. It's all or nothing. And so I wanted to make sure that I knew in this particular space, which is my garage, if somebody was breaking into my garage, but they weren't into my house. And so I just have this set up in my garage. So whenever the garage door opens, I don't need the garage door Z-Wave opener. This detects whether the garage door opens, right? And also, if somebody's in my garage, I can be notified right away. So that's just one extra little place that I wanted to monitor. Cool. And here's a great one. So this last piece here is a water sensor. So one of my biggest fears is flooding. And I'm not sure about you guys, but whenever I leave for a longer trip than a couple days, then I will turn off my water for my washer, for my washing machine. Because if one of those pipes from the washing machine bursted, then your whole main floor would flood, right? That would not be a good thing. So instead of just doing that, what I've done is I've put one of these water sensors on the floor too. And when the contacts feel water, both contacts that be in water, so that should be on the floor, then it will send you an alarm. And so this is a great way to give a little bit of peace of mind so you don't flood your house. So there's another bonus. Like, not only can you plug in a heater into one of these to make sure you don't freeze in the winter, but you can also plug in a water sensor, Z-Wave sensor, and then make sure that you're not going to flood your house too. So really good peace of mind little tricks here too. So some things, and we're going to talk about quirks and questionables. And so one thing I noticed, one day my Pipers kind of went nutsoid, and they were kind of not responding, and the Z-Wave were kind of wonky too, all right? So what I did after troubleshooting is I just replaced the batteries and everything worked. And so it does not have a elegant way of telling you that the internal batteries are going to fail you. And I wish they did have that, but really, if your Piper starts acting weird, just try replacing the batteries after you've done the other troubleshooting. But again, they have great customer support. So if you have any problems, just go on chat with them and they should be able to help you out and direct you to the right fix. Okay. The second thing is, and admittedly, I have a lot of Z-Wave appliances, like I think a total of like 8, right? I did find a couple of times, like twice now, where my Z-Wave appliances, whether they're my lights or my heaters or my motion detector or my water sensor, stopped responding, or I tried to set rules and it wouldn't stick, okay? And so they were being unresponsive. And what I did, I had to force remove every one of my Z-Wave appliances and then reinitialize them and attach them to my Piper NV, and then everything worked. And that was really annoying because I had to undo a wall plate switch to get the micro switch to get reinitialized. But really, in the greater scheme of things, I've only had to do that twice in the last 2 years, so not too bad, okay? Now, the other things, then, tips, tricks, and recommendations. 1, Big Brother is watching, right? We must know that there is a camera in here. And so I do not put them anywhere that I want privacy. And so where the floor that has all of our bedrooms, there is no Piper, okay? So you want to make sure you don't leave this in the washroom. Like, there's actually laws, I believe, against, even when you have house guests, you have to tell them that there's a video monitor there, right? Because you don't want to be recording them and being that creepy guy, right? You know, don't do that. Okay, cool. Now, the other thing is, this is not a real replacement for a real monitored alarm system. And when I say monitored, that means that there's actually a company that if there's a sensor that goes off, that they will call you, the police, send a security system out, security people out to actually physically check your space, whether it's a home or business, okay? And so we have both. This is just for peace of mind for myself and a little bit of home automation, which is kind of nice. But it will not replace a true monitored security system. Now, the other thing that you should note, the fisheye lens and the night vision is not great, okay? So to be honest, I mean, the video is going to show you close to where you are, but it's not going to be great for zooming in and detail, especially at night. But honestly, it's as long as you know that limitation, it's okay, right? The other thing is Z-Wave tip. Oh, and I already mentioned this, but I alarm my whole Piper system at night when I go to bed. And what I have this is near our kitchen, okay? We've got a pretty open floor plan. And so when somebody walks into the kitchen and it triggers the motion detector, I don't have the siren go off. I just have it turn on my night light so it wakes me up gently without sound. And it also turns on my kettle, which is a dumb kettle. And so I can have hot water when I wake up, brush my teeth, go downstairs, and then I can make my coffee. Ta-da! Anyways, just nice and simple and really lazy. Cool. Now, the other thing is Z-Wave tip, front house wired. Yes, okay. Prevent frozen pipes. That's also good, etc. Now, I think that's about it that I have to share. I'm going to go look at some comments because I'm pretty sure somebody made some pretty interesting comments. All right. David Bach, get yourself a bun velocity brew, my friend. Keeps water hot, makes a pot in 3 minutes. It's amazing. Cool. Except that I'm such a nerd. I need to do a pour over. Miguel, good to have you here, man. So Kenny Nakai says, thanks for sharing all this. I was literally looking at stuff a couple weeks ago, but never came across the Piper on Amazon. Whoa, no way. Use the Linkos, man. And so, yeah, I've been using it for 2 years. And I know there's other systems out there, but one of the big cons to most of them is that you have to pay a monthly monitoring fee for the privilege of recording your video to the cloud. And I just thought that was kind of excessive. If we're already paying hundreds for this thing, shouldn't they include that service? And Piper does. Ta-da! All right. Now, Anna says, thanks for reviewing this. We've been looking for something the last few weeks. Awesome. And then David says, also, how does it deal with pets? That's one thing I don't know. There is a pet mode, so I'm assuming that it will kind of ignore lower down stuff. That being said, if you take a look at the picture, there's a little doggy there. I don't know. And you could probably freak out your pets because you can talk to them, but they can't see you, but your voice will come from the Piper. The voice of God. Cool. All right. Sherry, good to have you here. Lynn Kai. Oh, good to have you here, man. So David says, what's up, Kenny? Chicago representing. That's so true. Chicago is in the house. I'm just going to go take a peek and see if there's anybody who wants to say anything on YouTube, and there is not. So that is about all I have for you guys today, guys. So yeah, make sure you do use the links. It helps me out a little bit, but I just want to make sure that you get the right stuff that actually works, because there are Z-Wave non-compatible stuff that won't work with Piper. And remember, if you get multiple Pipers, they are useful, but they are ganged as one unit. So that is kind of a minus, but I do love this little thing. Oh, and remember, because you need Wi-Fi all the time, one super tip. I actually have, we're with Shaw, which is a cable modem. right? But I have a uninterruptible power supply on my modem now, so that even if my power goes out, I still have the internet for a little while, so my security system is still on, okay? And of course, if you're on an airplane and you do not have an internet connection, or you're traveling through the mountains and there's no internet on your cellular service, then you will not be able to get any of your security notifications. And so that is not cool. And that's why you need a circle of friends. And this is not really a complete security system. All right. So still get monitored if you're really concerned about it. And I am, because we work out of our home. Okay. But cool. That's all I have to share with you guys today. And thanks for being here. I know it's the very first show that we're doing on the Not So Ancient Chinese Secrets page versus my personal profile. So thank you, my friends, for finding me. One other thing is that if you do want to share this, I would love for you to share this video with your friends if you think they'll get something out of it. And I think a lot of people would, because it is important, I think, to, make sure that we are feeling safe in our own home or in our business or for your kids, right? Also, for summer showtimes. I sound like the guy from Schweppes. Okay. Summer showtimes are going to be a little bit randomized, so go check over here. You can sign up via Facebook, and you can follow Chinese Secrets, fb.me/Chinese Secrets. Or if you're a YouTube kind of guy and you want to get emails, you can also follow bit.ly/Chinese Secrets YT with a capital YT and a S, spelled really weird. Or if you want to sign up via email, hit me up, bit.ly/Chinese Secrets. But thank you guys so much for being here. Tim Wan, I love you, Daves. I love you too, Tim. So Julie, thanks for being here. Dave, another Dave Bennett says, thanks, laugh out loud. You answered my questions. Recommend UPS, underrated power supply. Yes, I do. Oh, do I recommend a certain type? I have an old one that I just had because I switched to all laptops. So I am not sure about which one I recommend, but anyone will do. And you don't need that long, depending on where you live. We don't get a lot of power outages here, and so I didn't need a super huge honking generator for me. Cool. But thanks so much for watching, guys. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.